Hello, in this tutorial we're going to explore how to define functions or methods inside of a basic C# console application. So to begin with, let's imagine we've got our hello world. I've created a new project here, and the flow of this program is going to begin in main and do all of the instructions that are inside of main until it gets to the end of this method. Now what if I wanted to write a lot of code and it was going to get really difficult to follow all of the logic inside of this code as I put it inside of main? Better would be if I can abstract out certain capabilities and then block that off and put it in a new spot. And so that's how we're going to do that. We're going to create a new method or a new chunk of code, and I'm going to mark it as public static, and then I'm going to give it a return type. In this case, I'm going to say it doesn't return anything, and then I'm going to give it a name, and inside the parentheses I can list any kind of parameters that we're going to pass it in. So in main it's taking in this string array called args, and we don't really know exactly what that is, but suffice it to say it is a single parameter coming into main that we could use. In this method that I'm writing, I don't want any parameters coming in, so I could mark it as void, or I could just simply leave it as open and close parentheses. So the definition of this function is that it is public, meaning I can see it. It's static in that it's going to be used inside of the static main function. It's void in that it's returning nothing, and it's called print menu and takes in no parameters. So let's do a very basic menu system and say type in 1 if you want to, what shall we do? Shall we say read in your name, and then type 2 if you want to print your name back to the user. Console write line, enter your age, and then finally if you type in 4, display your age. Okay, so all this method is going to do is print these things to the screen. So if I run this program right now, then you'll notice that all I get is hello world, because if we look at what's going on in main, it says print hello world and then it ends. Even though we have this code, it's often a separate block. So if I want that code to run, I need to invoke it by calling print menu. And you'll notice if I start typing, print menu is a new method that we've added into the capability of our program because I've defined it here. So I use the same name, and in this case I'm passing it no parameters, so I just use my open close parentheses there. And now if we run this program, we actually get the menu displayed. Okay, so what's happening is the program is running, it executes this hello world, and then it gets to this command print menu. It jumps down here and executes all of these commands, and then pops back up since it finished print menu, and then it's going to do whatever other commands there are here. So let's read in the user's choice. Let's do a read line, and then parse that into an int32, and now we have the user's choice. So let's process the choice and pass it in, this choice that the user read, but notice that I'm getting an error here because this process choice method doesn't exist. I need to define it. So I could right click on this and say refactor and create method, and what it will do is it's going to give me the option of inserting it in a couple of different places. Let's insert it down here at the bottom, and notice what it's doing is it's saying, since we know what its name is, it's going to generate this method stub for me. It's a static void because I'm not returning anything, and it's taking in this integer because that's the data type of the parameter that I'm passing it. I'm going to change this just to make the point that the parameter itself needs to be of the same type. In this case, choice is an int, so what's down here needs to be an int, but it doesn't have to be the same name. I could call this C down here and choice up here, and it works because the first parameter passed in is going to match the first parameter in the declaration, and the second parameter passed in is going to match the second parameter in the declaration. Okay, so the flow of control is now going to be that I invoke print menu, it prints this out, it jumps back up here and reads in the user's choice, and then it's going to jump down here and run this process choice code. So let's do a conditional expression. If C is equal to 1, then I need to read in the user's name. So we'll do console write, what is your name? And then I could create a string here and store the name. So I could say name is equal to console read line. Yes? Okay. Otherwise, if I could say else if C was equal to 2, and this is the same thing as saying else and if, but I'm just going to combine those two. It's the same effect. So if they have selected the choice number 2, then I need to print their name. So I can say console write line, your name is, plus name. Yep. Otherwise, if they didn't give me 1 and they didn't give me 2, let's see if they gave me 3, in which case I want to enter their age, and so I'm going to be lazy a bit and paste this in. What is your age? And then remember that I need to do an int32.parse on whatever they type in to convert that string that they typed in a read line into an int. And I'll say their age is equal to whatever they typed in. Otherwise, if C is equal to 4, then I need to display what their age is. And just say your age is equal to age. Okay? So this is going to allow me to start here in main, read in or print the menu, and then read in the user's choice, and then invoke this process choice. Now you'll see we've got some errors here in that name and age aren't defined, so let's handle that next. And the way we're going to do this is we need to declare these variables, name and age. Now if I declared them here, I can use them here, but I'd like to actually use them throughout my program. So in order to do that, I need to get into this notion of scope. And here I've got this main function, I've got this print menu function, and I've got this process choice function. So all three of these live inside of this main class. And so what I can do is declare variables outside of any particular function, but still within the same class. And now I can get access to them throughout any of these methods that I want to make use of in them. So right now we're only using the name and the age inside this process choice, but in the next tutorial you'll see I want to run this multiple times and print the menu and let the user pick their choice and do various things over and over again. Okay, but for now I'm going to define this age and this name as static int age and static string name, and I've got to use this keyword static because all of my methods are static, and as we'll get into later in this course, we are dealing with a static program that's running and not an instantiation of this class. But for now, just leave the keyword static on there, and you'll notice that my error goes away. And if I run this, then what we've got is our menu being printed out. I can type in my choice. So let's say I want to enter in the age, and I'll say that my age is 58, or whatever you'd like to choose there. And if I hit enter, my program is done, because after I call process choice, and it does whatever work is in here, it's going to return back from whence it was invoked, and then main is done. So we'll pick this up in the next tutorial, and we'll expand on it by allowing for repetition through loops.